The browser wars are not over. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric Nelson. I do reviews on anything from AI to computer software to photography to travel gadgets. Thank you for joining again. And today, as you see from the title, we're going to be talking about browsers. Now, there are a lot of choices out there. You've got your traditional browsers, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer. We've got some new players on the market that have been around for a while. One of those was Arc. And if you've used Arc at all, it was a breath of fresh air. It was my browser of choice, and it was the only thing that I would use for a long time. Some of you may have noticed a letter recently from the folks at the Arc company, or the browser company, on the status of the browser Arc. And we'll flip over here to their page, and it says, Letter to Arc Members 2025 on Arc, its future, and the arrival of AI browsers. In essence, they're saying we're going to pivot away from Arc. And they talk about what went wrong, why we built Arc, where Arc fell short, why we didn't integrate Dia into Arc. We will open source Arc, and they're moving on to Dia. So in essence, Arc is going to be open sourced, and I don't know if abandon's the right word, but it is not their primary focus anymore. Now, Dia is still being developed as far as I know. It was in a limited beta group. Maybe in the future I'll look at that one, but I loved Arc. And I'll explain the different reasons why as I get into it. And so when I found out that Arc was being abandoned, I wanted to find something that was as much like it as possible. And that's when I came across Zen Browser. Now, when we look at this here, you can see Zen Browser is a calmer internet. I will say this from the start. Zen Browser basically is Arc, but based on the Firefox engine, whereas Arc was based on the Chrome engine. But feature-wise, they're very similar, and Zen gave me all the things that I really loved about Arc. And based on Firefox engine, which is also known to be really good from a security perspective. So the first thing to do here, obviously, is to go to download up here at the top and choose your operating system. Now, I'm not going to do that. I've already got it installed. Once you have it installed, then you're going to launch, and it's going to come up and be a little bit like this, but I've got a couple things already set up, so it'll be a little bit different. Okay, now once you have it installed, I'll just point you to this link. If you go up to useful links and down to documentation, it will give you access to a user manual here. And this user manual is fantastic. It goes over a lot of the salient points of the browser and how to use them. It's great. So there's a few things we want to point out at the start. And if you notice, if you're not used to Arc, the tabs are on the left side here. They are not at the top. I love this feature. It is so much cleaner to shove them all to the side, leave room for the top. As you know, most monitors have more room width-wise than height-wise, so putting those to the side makes a lot of sense, and it just feels cleaner to me. So that's one of the first things you'll notice. So the first thing we'll do is we'll kind of go into the settings and just see some of the things that might be worth setting right from the start. So if you go up here to Zen and down to Preferences, we have these sections, General, Look and Feel, and on and on. One of the first ones that I would check here, if you're interested in using this as your primary browser, is checking Zen to be your default browser. This is great because if you click on a link from another piece of software on your computer, it will open up in a different browser that is set as your default browser and not Zen. So if you're ready to switch or you want to try it for a while, set it as your default browser. It's going to save you a lot of headaches in the future. Another one that I make sure is set are these container tabs. I'll go over this in more detail, but trust me, these are worth it. You can change your appearance to be light, dark, or automatic, which is what I leave it on. If you have your OS switch between light and dark, it will switch with it automatically. Now, another one that I'd like to set just to stay apprised of the updates is check for updates, but let me and choose to install them. It will come up when you launch the browser and say, hey, we've got a new update. Click here if you want to install it. I would leave a lot of these other settings probably the same. I wouldn't change a lot of these. If we go down to Look and Feel, you can see that it has different layouts, single toolbar, multi-toolbar, collapsed. I'll go over these in a little bit as well. Another one that I would make sure is set is this glance. Now, this is one of my favorite features of Zen, and it was also in Arc. I'll show that one a little bit later too, but I would just make sure that's enabled. Your Zen URL bar down here. You can do floating only when typing, which is the default, normal, always floating. I like to just keep it at the default. You can come here to keyboard shortcuts, and there's a lot of different shortcuts you can set based on your own preferences. You can import shortcuts from other browsers if that's something you want to keep so it's consistent. Zen Mods is like extensions, and if you click on Visit Store, it'll take you to different mods that are available, and you can go in and look at them and install them, and these are just the same as any Chrome or Firefox extensions. You've got some home settings you can do here. In your search tab, you can set your default search engine. I don't remember what it's set to by default. I think it's DuckDuckGo. It could be Google. I use DuckDuckGo for privacy reasons. And then you've got some settings down here. I'll show how they use these shortcuts. These are fantastic. I love them. Privacy, I would probably leave these for now on their default settings. It gives a really good balance of private but not overly constrictive. And then sync, this is a Firefox thing. If you have a Firefox account, you can sign in and sync these so that you have the same settings across multiple machines. So those are just some of the basic settings. Let's get into more of the interface and the stuff that makes this so much fun to use. Now again, we have our tabs here on the left side. You can right click if you prefer to have them on the right side and say tabs on the right, and that will move them over to the other side there. I like them on the left, so I'm going to keep them there. This is highly customizable. Now you'll notice this home title up here, and what these are the concept of workspaces. And all workspaces are just groupings of tabs. They're a way to clean up. So you may have, think of them as projects. You may have home, you may have your work, you may have YouTube, business. They're just a way to group different tabs together and keep it clean and organized. So the way you can create a workspace is just right clicking up in here and saying create workspace. And you'll notice over here in the upper left hand, you can give it a name. Let's say AI Research. You can click over here in this to give it an icon. Let's just say Apple. Now the profile here is something that we're going to get into in a minute, so let's ignore that for now. And we'll just down here say create space. Now you can see I have AI Research. And down here at the bottom, you can see we have these little icons that represent our different workspaces, and we can switch between them by just clicking on them. And you can see that it changes out the tabs. This is where the organization comes in. Now the things that stay consistent across workspaces at the very top here are these icons that are called your essential tabs. These span all your workspaces. Things that you want to get access to no matter which one you're on. Now, before we get off of the workspace idea, I want to make sure that we look at some settings that we can do with it. Now we can click here and we can change the name, we can change the icon. Another fun thing that you can do is edit the theme. When you edit the theme, you're only editing it for this workspace. So we click on it and it's basically just your colorization. Click on purple, you can move it around to whatever shade or hue you want, and then just click off. And now you can see it's changed it. But if we switch to a different workspace, you can see the color changes. And so we can set a different color by going to edit theme. And let's choose green for this one. That's a ugly green. All right. And then if we switch back to home, purple, over here, green. So this allows you to customize your theme per workspace. Now we'll go back here to our home theme here, and we will close out these other tabs. Okay, so let's bring up some tabs in here, and we can do that by hitting Command T if you're on a Mac or Control T if you're on a PC. And it'll come up with this floating window here, and you can either type in a direct URL or a search term. So we can go to www.macrumors.com, or we can do Command T and we can just do a search term, like I'm looking for 925 Mac. and it will go to our default search engine and pull those results up. And if we switch to a different workspace down here at the bottom, those tabs are gone because they stay with the workspace. This is where it's really nice to keep those clean and organized across the different workspaces. One of the things that you can do that's really nice is, let's say that one of these tabs is one that you want to keep around consistently. You always want it around. You can right click on it and say Pin tab. And you can see it pulled it up here while these other ones are still down here. And what that means is over time, Zen will clean up these lower tabs if they've been around for a certain amount of time, but it will not clean up these pin tabs. But these pin tabs stay with the workspace. So again, if I switch down here to another workspace, you can see that pin tab doesn't come with it. It stays there with the workspace. But these upper tabs do go across workspaces, and these are called the Essential tabs. So to show this, I'm going to remove this Essential tab up here. We can see remove from Essentials. There it goes. I'm going to come back down here to Mac Rumors. It's one of my favorite sites. And I'll right click it and say Add to Essentials. Now you can see you have 12 slots that you can do. So you can click that. You can reorder it, put it where you want. Now, if I switch again my workspace, you can see that my Essential tabs come with it and they span the workspaces. So these are ones that you want to see no matter where you're at. So that's how you manage these. You can, again, remove from Essentials. You can remove or unpin a tab that allows you to kind of organize this however you want. It's a really powerful interface that lets you organize in any way that makes sense for you. Okay, now one thing I do want to hit here is what they call profiles. Now we're going to go to Zen Preferences, and remember down here I said to keep this container tabs checked. If we come over here to Settings, you click that and you can create and edit and remove your own containers. They can be whatever you want. Here you see I've defined a personal container. I've also done a work container. I can add a new container and say YouTube projects. I can give it a color, an icon, hit done, adds a new one there. If you want to change the settings, you can click settings and change the name, color, and icon. And that's it. So the question is, what are these? What are containers? I've got my workspaces. Why do I need containers? It's really simple. So here's an example. I have my own Google account, my personal Google account. But for work, I also have a work Google account. They're separate. And I want to be able, on the same browser, to have one place where I can log in with my personal Google account and another area within the same browser that I can log into my work account, not have them mix, and I don't want to have to sign out and sign in over and over again. I want those to be separate. I want to be able to go to them at any time. That's what profiles are for. They separate your cookies and your logins so that you can have multiple profiles going on the same browser. So up here you can see this blue fingerprint icon that says that I'm in my personal profile. If I go to my videos up here and I right click and say set profile, I can change this to work. That just creates a different profile for this workspace. Now, to show you how this works, let's go back to home and I'll bring up a Google Gemini account here. And you can see that in here, I'm logged in here with my personal account. If I switch down here to this other workspace and I go to Google Gemini and click on that, you'll see I'm not signed in because it's separating these, and I can go and sign into this with my work account. I can do this with Gmail. I can do this with anything, YouTube. And that's the power of these profiles that allow me to segregate my cookies and my logins and be able to switch between personal work and anything else. Okay, now let's kind of play around with the interface and I'll show you what it is I love about using this browser day to day. The other features are fantastic, but why do I love using it day to day? Well, I'll show you. A lot of it's just the power of the interface. It allows you to do things like split screens. So let's say I'm doing some research and I see this story here on iOS 26. I want to look at this story, but if I click on it, then I have to navigate away, come back. Now I want to read this story. I have to navigate away, come back. Let's say that I want to put this into a split screen. I can right click this and say split link in new tab. And voila, now I've opened this story here on the right while maintaining this on the left. The interface also allows you to reorganize these. So if you come up here, you can see that I've got this multi-arrow icon. I can grab that and drag it over to the right and switch them. And now I can switch it. Or if I want it on the bottom, I can grab it and drag it underneath. And there I go. I've got vertical tabs. So I can just keep switching those up to my heart's content. If I want to unsplit these and go back to single views, I can hit this maximize arrow button here. And now you can see it kept both of them, but just separated them into two different tabs. Now another way I can do this is if I've got another tab already open that I want to bring in a split view mode. So let's open up this one here in a different tab. While I'm on this tab here, I can click and drag this over and create a split view just like that. Just click and drag. I'm going to show this one more time. So here I am on the original tab. I'm just going to click and drag this other one over to the right, and it automatically creates this split tab here. I love this feature. I use it all the time, especially when you're on a big screen. You can have multiple things at once. Let's click another one here, right click this and say split. I can have three. If I want to organize this a little bit differently, I can drag this one below this here, and I can have this kind of full frame here and split here on the right. It gives you all kinds of options. Not only that, but you see you have these arrows in between the panes here. You can drag that to resize these panes, and the same here, drag to resize these panes. Tons of flexibility. It's fantastic. I love this. I do it all the time for research. If I'm doing work, if I'm doing research on a YouTube video, this allows me to have everything in one place and not have to switch between multiple windows and tabs. I absolutely love it. Now, one of the things I use all the time is something called glances. So let's say that we're here on a page and we're reading through, and I don't really, yes, I can click in and then come back out and click in and come back out. What if I just want to browse the article but not leave the main page? Well, I can do that by holding my Shift key and clicking on a link, and that brings this up as an overlay. Notice if I come up here and I hit this X, I'm back to the main page. I never left. I didn't have to navigate away. So I'll do it again. Shift, click. There's the overlay. I can read through this. I can scroll. And then when I'm done, I just hit X and I'm back. And I can just keep doing that. Just read this article. Cool. Come down here. And I never have to navigate away. I love this. I use it everywhere, especially when I'm reading news. I can bring it up and I don't have to keep going back and forth. Now, another thing that I love and use all the time, and this is where it talks about this Zen clean browser experience, is you can run this in what's called compact mode. There's a couple ways to do this. You can assign a hotkey to it to trigger it, or you can right click over here and say enable compact mode, and you can see the left side just went away. Now I've got this beautiful, clean, full screen browser, nothing impeding, no tabs, just what's on my screen. Now, if I mouse over the left side, it comes back and I can look at my tabs just like normal. And if I mouse away, it goes away again. This is how I use my browser all the time. I always have this in compact mode because I love the clean feel of nothing else on the screen except for the page that I'm looking at. And again, if you want to get out of compact mode, you can right click and uncheck enable, and this comes back permanently again. Gives you a lot of flexibility to have a clean interface. And where it's really nice is when you're doing this split screen and you can enable compact mode again, and all you're looking at is your screens as you're doing research, nothing else. This is that Zen feeling that you get with the Zen browser. Okay, now one thing I do want to show, going back to settings, is we'll go down here to the search tab, and you can see these search shortcuts. And what these allow you to do is use these keywords to do some quick searching with different engines. So you can see at Google. So I'll do this by hitting Command T, which is how you start a new browser. And I type at Google. You can see that it's waiting there for a Google search, and I can type in anything like, what is the best Sony camera? Enter. And it takes me straight to a Google search. Now again, remember, my default search engine is DuckDuckGo. So this Google allows me to go to Google directly and bypass whatever my default search engine is. Now the power of this is that you can create your own. So we'll go back here to settings, and you can say add. And let's say we want to do a YouTube search. And I'm going to say at YT will be the keyword. Now I don't know exactly what the URL is here, so we can just go and have YouTube tell us. So we go here to the main YouTube page, and you just put in a search, best Sony cameras. You can tell I'm a Sony guy. And you come up here and click and copy this URL, because the URL is what YouTube uses for searching. We'll come back to settings, paste this in, and you can see here that this is our primary search query with that anything after the equals sign we want to be generic. So we delete this, and then we type in the placeholder of %s. That says whatever else the user types in, insert that at the end of this query. So we hit add engine, and you can see that down here, YouTube at YT. So now we'll hit Command T, at YT, and now it filled in YouTube, and it's waiting for a YouTube query. Sony versus Canon. Not trolling at all. Enter. And here it took us straight to YouTube with that Sony versus Canon search up here, and our search results right away, just like that, a matter of seconds. And you can do this for any sites, Wikipedia, whatever it is you go to often that allows searching capability. You can put your own keyword to do quick searches on the fly. It's a really powerful thing. I use this all the time. I love it. Okay, now I'm just going to show a couple more features that I think are worth noting. I don't want this to go too long. One of those is this has built-in picture-in-picture. So since we're already here, we can just start playing one of these videos. We'll just click on this one here. And over here, if you can see my screen, you see this little icon that has a pop-out. And if I click that, boom, it's popped out this video as a window that I can now move around. Now we can come over here, back to another page. Let's go to our research that we're doing here. And the window is still there playing. I can take it, I can move it anywhere. I can resize it by grabbing one of these corners here, move it down here. I can move it anywhere. I've got the controls. I can stop it. I can scrub. Full controls as a pop-out. And if I want to go back, I can hit this upper right icon. This is back to tab. Boom, it brings me straight back to the tab I started in, and I'm back. That's a fantastic thing. If you want to watch something over in the corner there, but move on to some other things that you're doing, do a little pop out, and that's a great feature. Another thing that I like a lot is what's called reader mode. Now, a lot of you may already be familiar with this in your Apple devices. Safari has a reader mode, and what it does is it clears all the distraction and just leaves text so that you don't have ads and other distractions that are really annoying. So we'll come back here and we'll click on an article, and you can see as I'm reading, I've got all these things to the right that are causing distractions. You can come over here to your URL and click in there, and you see here to the right this toggle reader view. And I click that, and boom. Now I get this clean, distraction-free interface to read. All the ads are gone. Not only that, but if you see these, you can see these icons over here that allow you to customize. You can click this and customize your fonts and your font weights, the width. What I love is you can click on theme and change your theme. So you have a dark theme, you have a gray theme, sepia, light, whatever is easier on your eyes, you get to change that. And that's your reader mode. And when you're done with the article, you just come up here to X and close reader mode, and boom, you're right back to your tab again. Fantastic for distraction-free reading. I love this, and again, I use this every day as well. Okay, that wraps up the tutorial. I really didn't want to go too long. I wanted to show the main salient points of what makes Zen Browser so unique and amazing to use. Very similar to Arc if you come from Arc. Again, knowing that they're going to kind of get away from active development of the Arc browser. Zen is actively developed. I get updates on this multiple times a week. They are committed to the development of this browser as well as to the experience of the browser. I hope this helps. I hope this was useful. Leave me a comment about some other things that I may have missed. I love to learn from you. I love to know what else I'm missing. And again, this is a community where we share and teach each other. So thank you again for coming. Really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video and hope to see you next time. Have a great day.